VShojo. If you guys don't remember VShojo, it was that company that terrible VTuber company that ripped off $500,000 from a charity. It had Iron Mouse wrapped into it. Apparently, we've got more crap coming from these idiots. We have the contracts. The contracts these people were forced to sign.
The VShojo contract has leaked. Well, a VShojo contract has leaked, and it's very relevant to the current downfall of the company and perhaps the contracts that are being pushed in front of talents right now as they try to negotiate, settle out, and end their relationship with.
And apparently, these scumbag motherfuckers actually tried to get money from the VTubers. They tried to harass the VTubers into giving them money. That happened a couple weeks ago.
The failed company VShojo. So we're going to be going over that contract today on The Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. Of course, I'm Andrew Esquire, attorney. And this is something that I love to do, going through contracts. It brought me on the VTuber scene, going through the Niji Sanji contract. So we've got one today. I've broken it up a little bit differently for this Fast Facts version. Of course, if you like the Fast Facts, like the video and leave a comment below.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
For the Fast Facts.
Speaking of that, check out Legal Mindset. Hit the like on that video. Go ahead, give them a sub. Almost forgot.
Doing a very, very quick summary of the contract language. We're going to go through all the relevant points, which I've cropped out. If you want a very detailed analysis where we really go into the meat of it, check out the live. That'll be a much longer version.
He does do a live
in a much deeper detail. But
he does do a live for each one of his Fast Facts. We're not going to watch the full 17-minute video. We're going to watch like maybe 10 minutes of this and then move on. But
we've got the quick version for you guys today, of course, on the Legal.
If you haven't caught one of his lives, I recommend it. He answers some questions live about the stuff, and then he cuts it all down to where it's a video. It's great content.
And of course, we've got a PowerPoint, yes, on the exposing of the VShojo contract. So here we go. The background on this contract. This is a new contract that was sent to me this week. It is for an employee that was terminated from VShojo. Now, to be very clear, I'm saying employee. Typically, most VTuber companies, including VShojo, do not consider the talent employee.
Oh. Hold on. Let me end the stream, I guess we might not be oh wait, no, it's back. It's back. We good, we back. It must have been for the Super Nanny. Yeah, it was for the Super Nanny. Won't be able to do Super Nanny again, unfortunately. Oh no. Yeah, it had to have been for the Super Nanny. It was YouTube. Yeah, I think it was the Soupy Nanny. The Soupy Nanny had a content protection on it, so it kind of blotted out the stream. We should be good back. Yeah. we won't be able to react to the Super Nanny stuff, unfortunately.
They consider them independent contractors or some sort of other non-employee worker. They do not consider them employees. So there are some relevant parts of this. There are some parts of this contract that are not relevant or wouldn't be relevant to VShojo talents necessarily. However, I believe many of the clauses are, including the ones that I've included in this PowerPoint, in this presentation. So a lot of the information you're going to see today is absolutely 100% relevant to either what was.
I noticed that YouTube really doesn't like it whenever you play TV shows. They do not like that one bit.
Already signed?
A streamer that a YouTuber that I watch on a regular called Cinnamon Toast Ken, he does he used to do TLC quite a bit. He stopped doing it because he was having a lot of issues. Most of the videos weren't even getting monetized. It's It's just a big clusterfuck.
VShojo talent or what they are trying to get them to sign right now. I guarantee you that something like this.
At least I didn't have
is
to bring
being
the stream down. I'm happy about that.
pushed
Honestly.
in front of some of the talents. I guarantee you that some of the
All right.
talents have signed a document very much like this.
Oh, I promise you, all of them have signed probably the same document.
Similar to this, et cetera, because as an attorney, I can tell you that attorneys are lazy. They like to use templates, they do the same forms. So I guarantee you
It's
that
just
a lot
copy
of
and
the same
paste format.
language is probably going in front of the talent contract. So pay attention. They
I want to
always
see this
not
contract. Here we
deal with
go.
talent first. That's something that VShojo was supposed to do, but they failed in that. But you know what? Legal mindset will not fail in trying to protect the talent first. So here we go. This is a separation and release of claims agreement. So this is the form. Now, this is not the agreement for employment. So it's not the employment agreement. This is actually separation.
Delaware.
So this is what you would get them to sign at the end of their employment. So why this is relevant right now is because you would want all of the talents on the way out to sign an agreement like this. Some of them may have already signed this and may have already been out. Some of them may have not. Some of them may have refused to sign. They may have come to an impasse. But certainly, most of the employees, which is what we're dealing with today, would have signed this. And one reason why you haven't heard a lot is probably because they signed this. And once you see the clauses, you're going to understand why they haven't spoken up.
Yes, because they put themselves at liberty to be sued. But the thing is like, it's not going to matter now that the company's completely gone under. Like, the company's just cooked.
So this is obviously between VShojo, which is a Delaware corporation. Many corporations formed in Delaware, very common. Now, lately, the Delaware law has been not so good for corporations, but historically, it has been pretty.
Yeah, you notice that with any corporation, they'll always set up shop somewhere where the contracts that they're able to make benefit the company the most, which really sucks.
Predictable, at least. So they've been, a lot of corporations are formed in Delaware. And then, of course, the talent, which is, or the employee rather, which is blocked out. So you see here, what this does is it says, hey, after this agreement is signed, you're no longer an employee. You can't say you're an employee. This is effectively a termination. So the termination is as of the date of this agreement. So they can argue that before this agreement, they were still employed by VShojo and they were not formally terminated. I cannot say the date, but let's just say it's in the recent past. That's good enough. It's within the scope of time, probably in which VShojo was not paying its bills and not paying talent. I can say
I'd imagine he's got this stuff blacked out, not just for the protection of the client, but probably to help with any like actual legal stuff that's going on. Because if the company figures out who this is, they could be liable for suit
safely because they weren't paying the talent for a very long time. Further, you've got terms like return of property. So this is something pretty common. Many of you probably see this. If you ever get terminated from a job or you have to leave, you probably have to return stuff like your badges, your codes, your laptops, computers, mobile phones, all that other sort of stuff. But the one thing that's interesting to me is electronically stored documents and files or physical files. So an interesting thing is to me, did they require them to send back logs, to send back chats? What was assets? You know, what sort of assets or other things were required to send back? Things that weren't completed, things that were halfway through, things they could have used. Because remember, VShojo is unique in that the talents own the IP. So were there things that were almost ready to go?
You got to be careful with templates, man. That shit just gets destroyed sometimes. I actually got a blue screen from using templates before. I don't even know how the fuck it happened, dude. It was on a really well-built computer, too. I don't know.
Talents ready to go to Iron
I couldn't
Mouse.
close it, so it just kept sitting there on the task manager, and I was like, end, and then the whole fucking thing blue screen, and I was like, oh.
Or Case on or somebody else that they took back? Probably. There's also a bunch of representations in here, which are interesting, that the employee isn't suing them, hasn't filed any claims, hasn't filed any sexual harassment or discrimination or abuse. Sure,
let's talk about these clauses, though. Is that it?
Fun fact here, and this is enough to buy them out. That's not enough to get them out. So from those type of claims. So let's continue here.
Here we go.
Here we go. The separation benefits. So this is interesting. For every contract, you have to have what's called consideration. You have to have something of value exchanged. So right here is a lump payment of $6,600, right? Which would be paid no later than.
Well, that's funny because that's probably never going to happen. They're probably never going to get that money either. You know what's crazy to me? is that VShojo technically violated these people's contracts by not paying them money. In all technicality, the contracts that these people signed, VShojo was the first one that broke them. So it opens VShojo up for liability. They should be the ones getting sued, not these poor VTubers, man. This is some scummy shit.
6 days from the separation date or 6 days from the weekend or federal holiday after. So, it's a modest payment. I mean, that's a reasonable payment, not a massive amount of money, not 100,000 or 50,000 or 20,000. Probably about a month, 2 months, or 3 months. I don't know how much they're paid, but a couple months of labor. Typically, most terminations or separations will give you a month or two, and maybe three of wages. So that would fall in line there. Also, it talks about continuing to pay healthcare. And very importantly, at the bottom here, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people sign these agreements, is because they want a letter of recommendation. So what this says here is they will not give a recommendation, but they will confirm employment with the employer. Now, what's interesting here is a lot of people are, they want a good recommendation. They want something coming out there. Listen, it's not worth it from VShojo. And second of all, that's what
Yeah, especially now that they've tarnished their reputation, their word doesn't mean shit.
Legally required to do. An employer is legally required to just confirm you work there and the dates you work there.
Yep.
They don't have to say anything else, right? And there can be problems if they disparage you, if they say something negative about you, particularly if that's not true. There can be massive issues with that. So while a lot of people want that, they want to be on good terms, it's a very, they're not giving you much more than is legally required, which, once again, in a lot of these contracts, you think they're giving you something, but they're really giving you a nothing burger. Beyond that here, they're saying, hey, we're giving you benefits that are in excess. We're giving you more than you're entitled to, which is very interesting because.
But it's not true. It's not even true. Those people made so much money off of YouTube and Twitch. There's no way that's even remotely true. $6,600 is probably a drop in the fucking hat for a month with these people. Like, if you get over 1,000, I don't know, 16,000 views of video, dude, that's easily like $1,000 right there. There's no way.
There could be many things they're entitled to: overtime, materials, other things they were not paid for, not reimbursed for. So what they're trying to say is, hey, we're wiping out your claims for anything else we may owe you. So that's wiped out there. They're also giving a general release from claims. Now, once again, this is the big block.
So what they're saying is that when they give you that $6,600, they take away all debt that's owed to you. So, for example, if Ironmouse had to sign one of these and she had that $500,000 charity live stream, that donation is technically null and void now. That's sick. What's wrong with these people?
Buster, we are released from all claims, demands.
I love seeing disgusting corporations burn to the ground like this, but metaphorically. They deserved everything they're getting. I hope they get sued beyond the grave.
Actions, judgments, liabilities, expenses, blah, blah, blah. Every single contract out there in the world.
Ooh, you wanted to say a bad word.
I've written it 1,000 times at least, not a million, but at least 1,000 times in contracts. Very, very, very standard. I don't think this would once again prevent them from any criminality or any regulatory action. Beyond that, there's a lot of other claims they try to get out of too.
Jesus.
Title 7, American with Disabilities Act, FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act, the Labor Standards Act, all claims for compensation, tort damages, sick pay, any other attorney's fees, and trying to get out from anything. But what they even acknowledge here is, hey, in their own contract, they say, hey, there are certain types of claims and civil actions and enforcements, according to government agencies or courts, that you cannot get out of. And there are certain claims that cannot be waived by law. So even in their own contract, they tell on themselves. They really say, hey, there's certain things that can be claimed by law. And in fact, many of the things above, some of those can't entirely be disclaimed by a simple waiver, especially if the behavior was negligent or egregious.
Which it absolutely was. It was negligent, and it was absolutely egregious. The fact that these people bullied these poor VTubers who really didn't know any better took their money for months and didn't pay them, and then took $500,000 from a donation stream, I'd say it's malice, honestly.
The case
Disgusting.
of VShojo, we may
They're a bunch of
very
sick
well
freaks.
have negligent, egregious behavior. We've seen that with the leaks that are getting out there.
Yep.
Where, hey, it's looking like Gun Run knew. They knew. The leadership
Oh,
knew.
absolutely.
At what point does it become grossly negligent, extremely negligent, and or even willful? And just
I think it's willful. I think it's malicious intent. I seriously do. I think they did this shit on purpose. That was my phone over there. Hold on. And they have a... Oh, I know why. I know why. I was like, why is my alarm going off on my phone? And why is my phone all the way across the room?
totally void this waiver, right? And that is a very good question. Next, they say, hey, you knowingly read this. You had your attorney look at it, right? You know what's going on here. That is something that is very, very important.
Oh, no, it is. It's very scummy shit. This is the most scummy shit I think that has ever blown open on a company. Now, I'm not saying there aren't scummier companies, because I promise you there are, especially in the U.S. Especially in the U.S., because the laws allow it. But I'm saying that for what it is, this could be the tip of the iceberg.
Ability to consult an attorney, because otherwise it would be under duress, right? But
I'm gonna say this for anybody who's actually a content creator. I know Chad, you looking, yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Nigel is too. Any person that's making content, don't ever sign yourself up for one of these. Ever. Do not sign yourself up for an org. Most of their viewers are inflated numbers or bots. They're all fake. Do not set yourself up for one of these, because they will count against you. They work against your best interest every single time. I promise you they do. It may not seem like it at first, but over time, when new management gets into power, it does. Stay clear of these, because the path to hell is paved on good intentions. It may seem good at first, but whenever you sign that contract and new management gets in power and they don't have the same feelings that prior manager does, it becomes a problem. Don't sign yourself up for one of these. Machinima was one. They went belly up. VShojo was one. They went belly up. Most of these companies, Mythic Talent, that's a Twitch one, FaZe, most of these companies, they're not good for you. It may seem like it, but
part here is non-disparagement. This is huge, and this is why a lot of the talents are probably wanting to stay silent, because they're looking at this covenant here, this promise where the employee agrees that they will not at any time. There's no expiration date on this.
Worst friend ever. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I really am. That sucks.
Publish, communicate to any person, entity, or any public forum. That will be Twitter. X. That will be YouTube. That will be Twitch. That will be any other platform, saying anything defamatory or even disparaging. So disparaging can be true. Comments, statements concerning the employer's business or any employees now or in the future. So, for example, if they were sexually harassed by an employee, they're expecting them to stay silent? No, you don't have to. And this non-disparagement clause is what I hope that all the talents are speaking to their attorneys about, because what is non-disparagement is in the eyes of the beholder. What Gun Run may not want you to say, well, maybe you can say it because it was in fact illegal. Now, here's a big one. And this is,
you know what you got to do? You got to find those peoples that was openly against that friend, and you got to be friends with them. Remember that.
The giant one, which may or may not also be in the talent contracts. Jurisdiction, venue, and governing law. They put it under the law of Washington. That's very interesting, guys. Why would they put this under the law of Washington when they are a California?
Not a lot of people know this, but for example, a very big opioid company that was trying to sell opioids like candy. I don't remember the name of it, they had a company set up in every state, so they could, in every state. Now this makes sense because they knew that the can of worms they were opening, they would need a loophole out. They used a branch in Texas to null and void any financial, like, so like what they did is they filed bankruptcy with a branch in Texas, and they said, well, you know, we're going to use the laws in Texas over at Oklahoma to null and void whatever you're trying to do to us. So like, while it's like actively killing Americans on the street, this opioid epidemic, and it's crazy how these slimy scumbag motherfuckers can use each state to their advantage. It's crazy. I've seen it happen so many times.
California company. Well, there's a reason for that, and that's because of choice of law. VShojo chose Washington over California because Washington has more favorable, less restrictive laws than California. The employment requirements are less. The
That's
wage
rough.
and hour requirements are less. The non-compete clauses are okay in Washington. They're not okay in California. California has a broad prohibition against them. And despite all this choice of law, despite all this wrangling and gun runs, little tricks that his team put together, you can't escape some mandatory California labor laws even with this clause. But it indeed shows they were trying to be tricky with their choice of law. While they don't have any office there, their headquarters is in California, they decide to apply Washington law. Very interesting forum shopping, as we call it there. Going on here, there's no admission of liability, so nobody's saying they're guilty.
Yeah.
This is very interesting.
If I was you, Chad, I wouldn't really depend on a lot of your friends doing much with you outside of high school. Enjoy it while you have it. But whenever life picks up and people start making families and they got their own shit they got to deal with, it's a whole different ball game, man. It really is. Especially when you working 12 hours a day at a job, 6 days a week, man. And you got your own family and they got their own and you just trying to make the life happen. Shit.
Their attorney information, which is owed in law.
I'd give a lot of stuff up to go back to high school. I really would. I would, but I wouldn't. At least the first 2 years. At least the first 2 years of high school.
4600 Marriott Drive, Studio 520 of Raleigh, North Carolina. So now we know their attorney. A lot of people have said, hey, their attorney was this, disbarred attorney or whatever, an attorney without a license. Well, no, they did have this drafted by these people. Now, the law firm, and I'm not disparaging them in any way, shape, or form, they look like a competent law firm. I've looked at their website. Employee will be held responsible for payment of all reasonable attorney's fees that the employer incurred enforcing the terms. So what this means is they are attempting to threaten them with lawyers' fees if they do something like, for example, talk on X. That's one reason why all the talents are being careful. And I guarantee you, this clause is also in the agreements they're either trying to push in front of the VShojo talent or they already have, right? Which
is crazy because they were the first ones that broke their contracts. VShojo automatically voided their contracts whenever they didn't pay their employees. It's crazy that they're really trying to enforce this.